Okay, so you're thinking about buying a digital piano. Maybe it's for you, or maybe it's a gift for someone else. Good choice. As you've probably found out though, choosing the right one can be trickier than expected. There are all these key actions: polyphony, velocity layers, speaker systems, and MIDI ports. It's difficult to know where to start. Fortunately, you're in the right place. In this video, we'll walk through everything you need to know before buying a digital piano as quickly as possible to help you make a better purchasing decision. After all, you don't want to end up with the wrong one, right? Or worse, gifting the wrong one? Just a heads up, we won't be diving into specific brands today. Instead, we're focusing on the fundamental concepts you need to know to make an informed choice on your own. Let's begin with arguably the most important factor: the keys.
The first term you'll hear with digital pianos is hammer action. Hammer action doesn't simply mean heavier springs. It's a mechanism designed to physically imitate the feeling of a hammer lifting when you press a key. But this is where quality levels start to diverge. For classical pianists, what matters isn't just heaviness. What matters is whether the action gives you the control you need, so you can shape both tone and touch exactly the way you intend. So-called compact hammer actions often simplify the internal mechanism to fit into a smaller body. They may still have resistance, but you can feel limitations in fast repetition and delicate control, especially at very soft dynamics. Higher-end actions tend to feel more natural in repeated notes, key return, and microcontrol. The key point is this: even if two actions feel equally heavy, the better mechanism usually lets you play with far more precision. What you see on the outside, the visible key length, isn't what matters most. What matters is the lever length inside. How far the key extends back to the pivot point where it actually rotates. If that internal lever is short, the key can suddenly feel much heavier when you play deeper into the black keys, making control noticeably harder. In passages that push between the black keys, like Chopin or Liszt, the fatigue difference can be dramatic. Think of it like a lever. The shorter the lever, the harder it is to move with the same effort. And the closer you grip to the pivot, the heavier it feels. In other words, don't just test how the keys feel near the front. Make sure you can control the key weight and response consistently, even deeper in. Wooden keys aren't only about aesthetics. In many designs, wood-based structures, or wooden cores, can have advantages in density and rigidity compared to plastic, which can make the rebound feel more solid and stable under your fingertips. But you shouldn't conclude anything based on the word wood alone. Some models use a wooden core inside a plastic shell, and the real feel can vary a lot depending on design and finishing. Ultimately, what matters is the overall mechanism and build quality, not a single material word on a spec sheet.
In classical playing, the sustain pedal isn't just an on-off switch. In Ravel, and Chopin especially, subtle control of resonance and decay is part of the expression itself. Some entry-level models, and even some mid-range ones, treat the pedal too simply, so slightly down versus fully down doesn't translate into fine gradations. A proper half-pedal implementation lets you shape resonance more delicately, from a light, shallow sustain to a rich, full sustain. On certain premium models, the soft pedal isn't just a volume reduction, it also mimics tonal change to some extent. If you take classical repertoire seriously, this can be more noticeable than you might expect. Pedals are hard to judge from specs alone. If you can, in a store, play the same phrase while gradually changing pedal depth. The most reliable test is whether those subtle differences come out naturally.
Digital pianos generally generate sound in two main ways, and today, hybrid approaches are also very common. Sampling is based on recordings of real acoustic pianos. Its strength is that the core tone can feel natural and familiar. But since it's fundamentally recorded sound, the response can sometimes feel a bit consistent within the same dynamic range. That said, higher-end sampling today often blends in resonance, mechanical noise, and other details to feel far more organic. You can think of sampling like a photograph. It's still a recording, but the final result depends enormously on capture quality and processing. Sampling also ranges widely depending on implementation. Well-known examples often mentioned include Yamaha's Clavinova CLP series, Kawai models based on Harmonic Imaging XL, and Casio's Air Sound Source family, each frequently cited as sample-based approaches refined for detail and realism. Modeling generates sound by mathematically simulating physical behavior, strings, soundboard resonance, frame vibration, and more. Its strength is responsiveness. Overtones and tone color can shift very fluidly with your touch, often giving a strong sense that the instrument is reacting in real time to your playing. But if the modeling isn't done well, it can sound artificial or metallic, and you might feel that the warmth of an acoustic piano is missing. Two commonly referenced examples are Roland's V piano line and the software virtual piano, Pianotech, both widely regarded as strong implementations of model. Polyphony is the maximum number of notes the instrument can sound simultaneously. If it's too low, when you hold the pedal and build harmonies, you may hear notes cutting off abruptly, or the decay breaking unnaturally. In simple terms, the instrument starts stealing older notes to make room for new ones. If possible, 256-note polyphony is a comfortable place to be. That said, depending on repertoire and the sound engine, 128 can still be enough, so don't judge by numbers alone. The most reliable method is to test by actually playing. On an acoustic piano, playing harder doesn't just make the sound louder, the tone color changes. To feel natural on a digital piano, the tonal change across dynamics needs to be implemented smoothly and in fine detail. Many spec sheets don't clearly list how many layers are used, so again, this is something you confirm by playing. Start from the softest possible touch, move through medium, then up to very strong, playing slowly. Listen for whether the tone changes smoothly or whether it steps in noticeable layers. MIDI isn't sound, it's performance data. Think of it as information like which key you pressed, when you pressed it, and how hard you pressed it, sent to another device. If your digital piano supports MIDI, your options expand dramatically. You can use high-quality virtual instruments on a phone or tablet, or connect to a computer for recording and editing through music production software. Music production software is usually called a DAW, a digital audio workstation. It's software that lets you compose, record, and edit in one place. So, in a sense, MIDI is a gateway that extends your playing into a wide range of digital tools. A wired connection is typically the most stable and has the lowest latency, so it's the easiest recommendation for practice. Bluetooth MIDI is convenient because there's no cable, but depending on your environment, you may experience latency or dropouts. And on some models, especially older ones, Bluetooth MIDI may not be supported at all. If you want a clear, step-by-step guide on MIDI connections, check the link in the pinned comment. We've organized a separate connection tutorial there. In some cases, instead of stretching your budget for a very expensive digital piano, You may get higher satisfaction by pairing a great keyboard action with a high-quality virtual piano. On a desktop or a powerful laptop, you can run premium virtual instruments through a DAW. These virtual instruments are often called VSTs. In simple terms, think of them as high-end piano sound libraries running inside your computer. Commonly mentioned examples include Ivory 2 grand pianos and Synchron pianos. On iOS, there are quite strong virtual piano app options. Ravenscroft 275 and Pianotech are well-known examples. Performance is more limited than a full desktop setup, but the portability and simplicity can be extremely attractive. On Android, unfortunately, there are tons of basic piano apps, but professional-grade options are very limited. There used to be an app called iGrand, but it's no longer supported. So, to help fill that gap, we created an app called Concert Grand Piano, together with professional engineers. We focused not only on high-quality piano sound, but also on the features and user experience pianists actually need. If you're curious, you can find details in the pinned comment. This is especially important if you're choosing a console-style digital piano with a wooden stand. First, don't judge by wattage numbers alone. What matters is where the sound comes from and how it spreads. If the sound only comes from below your knees, you may feel the tone is boxed in or lacking lift. If possible, look for designs that project upward or forward. Second, the cabinet isn't just decoration. With good acoustic design, the case can help the speakers bloom and create a richer sense of space. With poor design, even an expensive wooden model can sound muffled and thin. In a store, make sure you take off your headphones at least once and listen to the room sound directly. If you can, play the same piece on two similarly priced models back to back. That's the fastest way to hear meaningful differences. A console-style digital piano isn't the only answer. Stage pianos are designed primarily for performance. Many don't include built-in speakers because they're built on the assumption that you'll use external speakers or an amp. If you already have good audio equipment, or you practice mainly with headphones and external speakers, this can be a clean, professional option with fewer compromises. Synthesizers are tools for creating and expanding new sounds. For a traditional classical pianist, they can feel complex and unfamiliar at first. But if you want to go beyond classical repertoire into composition or more modern genres, a synthesizer can be a powerful alternative. And one more thing. Many synths also don't have built-in speakers, so keep that in mind. Sometimes people buy a MIDI keyboard thinking it's a piano, then panic because no sound comes out and assume it's broken. A MIDI keyboard isn't an instrument that produces sound. It's an input device that controls something else that makes sound. That means you need an external device, like a phone, tablet, or computer, to generate audio. But once you understand this, the advantages become clear. First, it's usually lighter and more affordable than a digital piano, making it easier to start with. Second, it's highly portable, so you can set up a practice environment almost anywhere by connecting to a smart device. Third, depending on the situation, pairing it with a high-quality virtual piano can actually give you more satisfying sound than a low to mid-range digital piano. For classical pianists, it's still true that an acoustic piano is the best option when everything is ideal. But digital pianos have real strengths: less maintenance, more stability over time, and, most importantly, the ability to practice late at night with headphones. And if you choose the right one using the criteria we covered today, a digital piano can sometimes become a more satisfying practice environment than a poorly maintained, mediocre acoustic piano. I hope this guide becomes a small but useful signpost in your decision. If you'd like more details on the apps or connection methods mentioned today, I'll organize that information in the pinned comment. And in the next video, we'll go deeper into the tendencies, strengths, and trade-offs of major brands. If you have questions, leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching.